Hello guys, my name is M.Hasanudin Raditya, and today in math class, we're gonna learn about the history of fractions. So did you guys know that the fraction we use today didn't exist in Europe until the 17th century? In fact, at first, fractions weren't even thought as number in their own right at all. Just a way of comparing whole numbers with each other. Who first used fraction reached us here? I are going to answer for you guys. So let's go. The word fraction actually comes from the Latin word fractio, which means to break. To understand how fractions have developed into the form we recognize now, we'll have to step back even further in time to discover what the first number system were like. From early as 1800 before century, the Egyptians were writing fractions. Their number system was a base 10 idea, a little bit like ours now, so they had separate symbol for 1, 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, etc. The ancient Egyptian writing system was all in picture which were called hieroglyphs. And in the same way, they had picture for the numbers, like the example in the screen as you guys can see. And then here is an example of how the number were written. The Egyptians wrote all their fraction using what we call unit fraction. A unit fraction has one number as its numerator, the top number, and then they put a mouth picture which mean part above a number to make it like a unit fraction. The Egyptian express other fraction as the sum in the picture unit fraction, but they weren't allowed to repeat a unit fraction in this edition. They express, for example, this is fine. 3 per 4 equal 1 per 2 plus 1 per 4. But this is not correct. 2 per 7 equal 1 per 7 plus 1 per 7. This is the huge disadvantage of the Egyptian system for representing fraction, is that it is very difficult to do any calculation. To try overcome this, the Egyptians made a lot of tables so they could look up answer to the problems. But in ancient Rome, fractions were only written using words to describe part of the whole. They were based on the unit of weight which was called the as. One as was made up of 12 uncia, so fractions were centered on 12. For example, 1 per 12 was called uncia, 6 per 12 was called semis, 1 per 24 was called semuncia, and 1 per 144 was called scripulum. So with Egyptian system, the word made it very difficult to do the calculation. The Babylonians were the first people to come up with more sensible way of representing fraction. In fact, they did this before Romans method, but there was no contact between these two civilizations. The Babylonians lived in the country we call now Iraq in the Middle East. The number system was organized around the number 60, so we say it is base 60. In other words, they group into number 60s, where we group into tens. We still use base 60 in our measurement of time and angles. However, they also group into tens and so only had two symbols, one for a unit and one for a ten. What we know today comes directly from the work of Indian civilization, so thank you, Indian civilization. The success of their way of writing fraction is due to the number system they created, which has three main ideas. The first one, each figure has a symbol which isn't like the value it represents. The second one, the value of the figure depends on the position of it within the entire number. And the third one, 0 is needed to mean nothing and also to fill the place of units that are missing. By about 500 AD, the Indians have developed a system from a way of writing called Brahmi, which has 9 symbols and a 0. Again, this was devised long time before some of other way of counting we have already discussed. However, it was only through the trading between the Arabs and the Indian that this Indian numeral was spread to Arabia, where they were used in the same form. Here are the charts that show how this Brahmi symbol became the number we know today. Like example in the picture. In Indian, fraction were written very much like we do now, with one number, the numerator, above another, the denominator, but without a line. For example, as you guys can see in the screen. And then it was the Arabs who added the line, or sometimes draw horizontally and sometimes on a slant, which we use to separate the numerator and denominator like today, like example in the screen. Okay, so we finally reaching the end of the video about the history of fraction. So thank you guys for listening and watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.